Welcome all, Raymond's for Strain Gamers. Once again, we are working on our custom airport CKK7. Today's episode 4 in the series. So today's episode, we're going to spend some time fixing a few anomalies, and as I said early on, I think it was in one of my first episodes. I'd like to kind of get a general lay of what we're doing, and then I'll go back and I'll adjust as I need to or as I see fit. So, for example, let's first of all let's get ourselves into the SDK, and later on throughout the video, I'm going to go through here and show you how to go about adding material into here as well. Originally I wasn't going to do that, but I've elected I want to kind of try to keep this an all-encompassing video so that you're not having to go outside and seeing what's what there. Now, one of the things that I don't like about what I've got going on here is some of the lights and these taxi markings. So for example, if I click on that and I go to properties, I've got that selected. Note that I've got a solid line left and right. Let me just take some of these lines out because there's some of the stuff that I don't care for, just mostly because it really isn't accurate. That's mostly what it is. So I don't want this enhanced line that travels all the way down here, which I've now removed. And the other thing that I don't like is this edge marking. The edge marking isn't really a thing here, so I'm going to remove the edge marking as well. So let me click on that, and did I not get that click? I did. So let's remove that. Okay. Oh, and here's one more that we want to get rid of. Let's remove you. Now, another thing. Oh, one more. Why not? No, I don't have one there, but I do have one there. Let's get rid of you. Now, and a lot of this stuff, unfortunately, becomes somewhat tedious in that in getting it kind of the way you like it. Sadly, in creating these custom airports like this, they take a lot of time. It's just that simple. They take a lot of time. So there's another thing here that I'm less than pleased with, and notice how our taxiway kind of comes down here, and you almost think that this taxiway should kind of follow that path, right? And so it's either the runway needs to shift down or this whole taxiway needs to come out of there on an angle, because this little jog here is what I don't like. So how do we get that changed? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the runway down there a bit, like so. I'm going to take this out along with that. Whoops. Just FYI, notice that sometimes when I'm clicking here and I want to hold my mouse button down, well, if I do that and I have an object selected, that's the window I've been getting, and I've just discovered if I click somewhere else, now I can move my mouse around without getting that pop-up menu. Likewise, if the mouse disappears, you can hit your left control key and the mouse will reappear. Okay, so I think what I'll do is I'll put a point out here, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that. Oh, well, that was interesting that got removed, isn't it? That's okay. We're going to move that. We're going to move that. We're going to take that dot out. Now I'm going to take this out just the same. Now it shows back up. I'll take that out. So there's our runway. So if I come in here and I go to objects and we go back to taxi point, I select on that, and I think what I want to do is really what I want to do is I want to bring this kind of straight out to here somewhere and create a point, possibly like that. Okay. Then if I click on this and select this and right click and go create a path, I should now have a nice pathway. Then I think what I'll do is, there I go again, clicking. Then I think what I'll do is I will take this point and we'll just slide that down here somewheres, because I want to create a point from here to here, and I want to make that turn, and I might move this more there, like. Hopefully this will become clear as to why I'm doing all this jostling around here shortly. So that's kind of what I was trying to accomplish. So now we have kind of a nice more straight path. Now what we don't have, again, is this runway coming into here in a straight path. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to click on here. I'm going to split the path. Now I have a point. I'm going to drag that point, hopefully without disturbing that too terribly much. Maybe like that-ish. Then I'm going to put another point there. Somewhere's in that area. Oops. Oh man. I gotta delete that because I accidentally put that extra point. Add a point. Probably approximately there. So we click that, right click, create the path. And so now we've got a path that kind of goes off in that direction. Now I can take this and I can do this to it, and you can see how that kind of straightens it up with the runway, right? So now when I click on this, there's the blue. Too far, of course. So there. So we haven't changed the angle of the runway at all. But what we've done now is we've given ourselves an opportunity to move this and line this up with that. And there we go. Now, if I click somewhere else, we get a much nicer pathway. Still, that dot right there needs to move. So the series is about creating a custom airport, and so I want to be clear about what we're trying to accomplish here. At the end of this series, we're going to have an airport that is hopefully as close to a representation as we can get it to come. And so we will end up doing a number of one of these, cleanup processes, if you will. Properties. Let's pick on that. That's not properties. This is properties. Let's add a center line all the way down. Okay. So I think that looks better. One thing that I'm a little less pleased about, and I realize it's kind of nitpicky like, but this taxiway is a little wider than the runway. Could we potentially do that? Could we do that? What about that? I mean, it certainly is better, but it's this transition right here too that, anyways, we'll leave it like that for now. Yeah, and we won't worry about it too much. I'm more happy about how this has been cleaned up a bit. I'm really quite happy about how that got cleaned up. That's a little better. That's a little better. This transition here, why that does that, I don't know, and I don't know if there's a solution for that. If you look at, you know, how this is all one entity, and yet it really isn't at the right angle is really what it boils down to. Let's change that angle ever so slightly. Well, that fixes this up a little bit, but still we got these little overhangs, and I don't know what a person would do with that, because this is all one entity. So how this takes place, I don't know. Does it have something to do with the width of this? I mean, I guess I could change that and see. It doesn't seem to do much. Let's change that to that. See, it just doesn't seem to do much. So we'll put that back. Anyways, we're going to leave that where it is. You can see how that's been more cleaned up. Now the next thing is, I see this right here, and I suspect that this is a product of this here, that dot right there. So I don't know if I can do anything about that. If I pull that back, let's see if I can get clicked onto that. There we go. Let's see if I pull that back. Does that change? No, it doesn't. So then it's probably this. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay, let's get back over to here now. One other thing that I was looking at, you can see here's another little thing here, and I believe it has to do with this dot right here. There we go. Nope, not quite gone. So the next thing that I was looking at was, you see how the taxi lights come along here, and they do a decent job, but we get over here, and for some reason or other we've got a taxi light there, and I think that's it. I don't know if where that's coming from, because we have no taxi lights enabled there, we have none enabled here, we don't have any there, and we don't have any there. I have a feeling that light has to do with the original ground that was here. I may find a solution for that at some point. Right now I don't have a solution, so if you're looking at that and seeing that and wondering why that does that, the answer is I don't know, but I will come up with a solution. That's the plan. Anyways, now next, so you see this, all this green here, well, it kind of looks weird, it kind of looks goofy. Likewise, this little piece that juts out looks kind of weird and a little goofy. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim some of this back, and I'm going to realign some of this so that it does a better job. For example, all this rigmarole that I've got here, I'm probably going to take out most of this. Originally, if you remember in the first series as we were going through this, the idea behind all that was I was trying to follow the contour of the original that was there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm not terribly interested in following the contour. What I'm more interested in is getting rid of the goofiness that is that. So I'm going to get rid of that one as well, and I'm going to move this over to here. And we got a lot of fall off on this one, a reasonable amount of fall off. So we're going to change that fall off to 0.1, just so it's not so large to fall off. But I do want that green part gone. That's what I'm trying to accomplish. The rest of the stuff that we see over here, let me move this just a bit more. So the rest of the stuff that you see over here is where we're going to add some ground. And we're going to make this all gravel because I believe that this is an actual gravel driveway coming into the airport, if I remember correctly. And so likewise, we're going to probably clean this up a little bit here too, because it looks goofy. And like I said, I was trying to follow the apron that was there. So we'll just clean some of this stuff up. I think we'll pull that back just a tad. Now, did I give any fall off? Maybe not as much fall off as I would like. There we go. Okay. So that cleans that up quite a bit. Now we have this, which is our fuel thing, and I'm going to move that maybe a little more like this-ish. Yeah, maybe. And of course, we have to have a tank. We're going to put our fuel tank right here. So, objects. Fuel. This is going to be all trucks, isn't it? Yeah. So it must be under, I always get this mixed up. It must be under scenery. Okay, and fuel. There we go. So we'll see if we can't find ourselves a nice fuel tank. That looks a little big for what I want, but I may take that one. You know what? I'm going to take that one. I'm going to show you guys how to deal with that. So you put that fuel tank here, and it looks just massive, right? So we're going to put that there, and you're going to look at that and say, it kind of sort of looks out of place, and it does, because the actual fuel tank that resides here is a much smaller fuel tank. This airport just doesn't have as much in and out of traffic. Don't get me wrong, it's a relatively busy airport, but to have that size of tank is maybe looks excessive. So if we click on it, click on your gizmo. Again, if your gizmo's not up, you get it through this menu right here. FYI, I did have a problem with these bars being locked up there, and I've since discovered that if I click on this, now I'll click on the project, I can move the entirety, right? And I can then also decide to lock it back up there again. Okay? So if you have a menu that you want out, you can just drag it out. If that menu gets locked up there like that and you can't seem to move it, grab this little gizmachi right there, and you can drag it and move it wherever you want. I'm going to resize it a little bit so that it's not so overwhelming. And so now I'm going to go ahead and put that up there. Okay, so that's how we do that. Okay, back to this. What I want to do with this is I want to scale it. Okay, so with the gizmo selected, see the scale right here? It's a 1-to-1 scale. So what if we were to scale it like so? That starts to look a lot more appropriate. So the point is that when you have buildings that are a little out of scale and that kind of stuff, or objects that just seem larger than what you want them to be, you can scale them. Likewise, you can pull in, hangers and stuff like that from the SDK, and you can do the same thing with those too. You can scale them up and or down, whichever you like. Now they don't. Hangers to me don't scale, or sheds or terminals don't scale well because they scale the entirety of it. That is the width, the length, and the height, right? So a 20-foot building should look like 20 feet, or a 40-foot building should look 40 feet. But if you scale it, if it's a 20-foot building that's 100 feet wide and 50 feet long and 20 feet high, when you scale that by half, you also scale the height by half as well. And now you get a 10-foot building. Of course, how are you going to park an aircraft in a 10-foot building? Maybe small ones, but you're not going to park any size of aircraft in a 10-foot building. So that's the point that I'm trying to get across, that just be mindful of, if you're doing scaling, you're going to have, you could run into those issues. All right. So we got our fuel tank. We're going to nestle that maybe kind of right there. And we're going to leave that where it is, and making the assumption there's some underground piping to the fuel box, and then the fuel box can fuel up the aircraft. Okay, good. Fantabulous. Next, what is the next step? The next step is we're going to deal with material, and we're going to show you how to bring in material that allows you to create parking pads and so forth, but based on the material that you happen to like. So that leads us to a couple of places. Again, I thought I had opened up that other website that I want, but I didn't. Just bear with me. It's called Ambient CG is the website. So I'll bring that over here so we can have a peek at it. Now, this is I guess the new website. I wish I hadn't done that, but whatever. Click on materials. There are all of the varying different materials that you can have, and you can change that around. You can say I want ground, and that's the one we're going to work on, right? And now you can say, oh, I want grass, or I want some kind of a gravel, or I want some kind of a concrete, and so on and so forth and so on. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time, deciding which ones to pick, because I have grounds already I've got materials already that I've already selected the ones that I want. But you go through this and find the one that best suits you. Okay. Now note, the ground texture you see looks like this, and you can click on any one of these links to decide which one to download. I want to draw your attention to the file size. If you're putting in 3-4 different pads down, or you're running roadways and or you're running aprons or whatever you're running, and you have multitudes of those, and you decide to pick an 8K file, note that each time you use that, you are adding 422 megabytes to your overall package size. So if you have 6 or 7 of these that you're putting in there, at that, you've already established 2.4 gigs in your airport. Yeah, 6 is 2.4 gig, roughly. You've already established your airport to be 2.4 gig, not including anything else you've done, just these textures. And so I caution you to make sure that you make the decisions which ones to use. I typically use 2K. So you can see how different from 2K to 4K to 8K is. But even from 4K to 2K. And 2K, by the way, when you're flying around in a sim, the ground texturing is pretty good. I mean, yes, 4K is probably marginally better, and I say marginally better, but is it better to the tune of 4 times the file size? I, you know, I'm not sure. Anyways, likewise, you can use PNG files, but PNG files, although they're more detail orientated, but look at the size, right? So a JPEG is 119, and a PNG file is over double, and likewise, right? So just, I caution you when you decide to pick and decide to land on the type of materials that you intend to use or textures later on when you're doing Blender work, those textures that you're using, I caution you to make careful decisions about which ones you want to use and how large you want your package to become. It's not so important to determine how large the package is in terms of downloading. That's not so much the issue. The issue, because today most of us have robust high-speed internet that, you know, if you got to download a texture that's 200 meg, it's really not a big thing. The problem is that you got to download a texture that's 200 meg, and the user who's displaying this on their machine, that has to be rendered. Their video card, their processor, all it has to be rendered, and that then becomes a resource hog. So to me, that's the bigger part of the problem, rather than the file size and having it to be downloaded. You are effectively pricing your airport out and away from those people that maybe have lower end to medium end machines, and you're building the package for those people that have high end machines. To me, that doesn't work. Anyways, that's enough of that. So just remember, ambient.cg.com gets you here. There is just a ton of free resources in here and materials that you can use, textures and so forth that you can use in your Blender packages. Okay, that's enough of that. Now, the next thing we're going to discuss throughout this is these are all of the textures, that I've downloaded and or created and or I use. The next thing is, this is the materials folder that all of my textures for the ground and everything else, for ground only, exist for the airport that you saw in episode 1 in its completed state. Okay, and I'm going to go over this, and I'm just showing you these things so that you have an understanding of where you're looking on your machine and trying to discover this stuff. This is our current project. Okay. What is this about? Oh no, that I'm going to get rid of that. We don't need that. Okay, this is the current project. So if you note, in the completed project, we have under package sources, we have material libs and we have the scenery. If we go into the material lib, we have another material lib. That's where the stuff exists. In the current package, we don't have material lib. We're going to go ahead and create that, and then we're going to move those textures into there, and then we're going to create them within the SDK so we have access to them. Okay? I'm going to pull that out of the way. All right. So we're going to go to, just bear with me here. I'm going to get myself to where I need to be. So again, I think you can do that by creating the package here. I'm always doing it over here. Okay? So add an asset group. It's going to be a custom asset group. We're going to go into here and we're going to look for material lib. I did see it. Material lib. There it is. We're going to call it material lib. This is my naming convention. Yours can be done differently, but just this is how I do it, okay? So there we go. Now we note that we have a material lib right there, okay? And so when we go into our now current package that we're making, there's material libs, okay? So that folder has been created. If I go in there, there's the material. Nothing in the package. Okay, 0. I'm going to take this. I'm not going to take these, and you're going to see here shortly why, but I'm going to take this folder. I'm going to copy. I'm going to put it into the current custom airport that we're making. I'm going to put that in there. Now I'm going to go here and we're going to build a package with that stuff in. Okay. Oh, it will take a moment for that stuff to kind of get in there for the thing to see it. Then we build it. This too might take a second. Okay. Note that we have no errors, which is good. We're going to clear this for the next time we get into here. Oh, I double clicked on that, didn't I? So we're going to clear it again. Okay. So now I'm going to start creating some textures, some ground textures that the SDK is going to be able to see, and it's going to come up in this list right here, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select the group. So we select, there's the airport. That's the material lib that we're going to use. So we select it. We got that now selected. Now we're going to go into here, and we're going to create a new one. And we're going to create a new ground surface. Yes. Here, we're going to decide which of these ground surfaces we're going to actually create, or what we're going to actually create. Okay. That's a height map. Now wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I may have. I want to create a ground surface. Let me just cancel that for a second. Let me apply that. I am 99% certain. There's our new material, which we created, but we didn't add material to it, so we're going to delete that. Do this again. Select. Yes. Then we go here. We go new. Let me just make sure I'm picking on the right one here. I'm 99% certain it's that. We're going to call this a new material. So what are we going to call this? We're going to call this driveway. That's what we're going to call it. It'll be a gravel. Okay. Now, what I've forgotten how to do is to load, okay, so load a texture, and then we go into here. Now we decide which texture we want to use. Now, remember we have these round things. Do not pick those round things of the textures that you actually want to use, okay? If you do, your texture will look round, and that's obviously not what you want. Let's pick gravel. Let's pick that for now. There's our gravel texture, okay? So then we apply, we save, and notice down here now we have this texture, and we have this new entity right here, which is this airport. Again, if I click on that, those are all the textures that are there. But if I click on that, I have that. Then what happens is this gets created, which was similar to all of these that I said that I wasn't going to move over. You see this now, okay? So we can now create all of this with that texture. And how do we do that? Well, there's a couple of ways you can do it. I'm going to use a polygon to do it. That's what I'm going to use. Okay. So I'm going to go here, object. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to find polygon in the list. I'm going to click add. Oops. I'm going to click add. Add again. I'm on now. Oh, I know why. It's because I'm not in here, and I've now selected I don't know how many polygons. So let's get rid of that. Okay, one more time. So we got our little plus sign there. So I'm going to click here, there, we're going to try to create this bit of an arc here. It's going to be a little weird to do it, but we're going to do it anyways. Then we'll bring this up to here, there, and we'll finish that off over there. Now that's not perfect, and we'll manipulate that and move that around as we need to. We'll take this one place click touch out, or one place click out. We have that selected now. We have that whole polygon selected. And if we go into properties, we have the ability to select material. Material. We have our material selected. If we double click on, or we click on that, that material should be in there. Now, one thing that I'm seeing here is snow. Why? I may change that. I know why. Because polygons are not something that snow will stay off of. However, aprons are. So what if we get rid of that? We did. What if we create an apron? Let's do an apron. Default. Add. We'll do the same thing. And finish it off. So we're going to add our gravel to that instead. We'll take our check mark out. We'll go to properties. We'll have our gravel selected, and we will pick on, once I find material. That's interesting that it does that. So that hasn't made a difference. Is it because I need to lift it off the ground? Potentially? No. Oh, hang on. Ground merging. I don't want ground merging on. Well, we're going to, for now, this will be another one. This has changed. I believe this has changed, but I could be wrong about that. That's what it should be looking like. Kind of a goofy looking gravel, but it's better than the green, I guess. And we can change some of the functions of it just the same as we did once before with other ones. We can do it, but what we're going to do is we're going to put a bit of a fall off on it, because obviously gravel doesn't lay in straight lines, right? Anyways, we're going to leave it like that. We may come back in a future episode and address that, because I'm overall not, really happy about how that looks. Okay, so that's addressed that, and really what this was being done for is to be able to show you how to go ahead, A, get the textures that you need, B, get them into the SDK, and then C, put them down on the ground, and we've accomplished that. And then you can pick any one of the textures that are there, or other sites, because Ambient GC is not the only site. There's a ton of other sites that have textures, both paid and free resources. Okay, so we need to start thinking about putting down some hangars and the rest of the buildings. Okay, and if you remember on our last video, we get to here. This is the completed one. Oops, model lib is what I want. So we went in here and we plucked out the terminal and we moved it over into here, and that's why we only have the one. Now we're going to go in and put a few other ones in here. Got to remember which one it is. That's a hanger. I don't want that one. I believe what I want is this one right here, version 6. We'll bring that one in anyways and make sure. So we'll copy that. We'll place that in here. And what we're accomplishing now is later on, it's bringing it in. When you bring it in, it kind of hangs the SDK up a little bit. But after it's finished that, we will build all. No errors. We'll clear it. We'll go back to the editor. We'll go to objects. We'll click on aprons. We'll change it to, I believe, scenery. We can look in here for CKK7, not Y. That's a 7. And note that we have now 2. Now, the previous had thumbnails. I haven't figured out how to create thumbnails so that these hangers show up properly as a thumbnail, like the tank did, for example. But we'll figure that out at some point, and should I figure that out, I will let you guys know how that works. So I believe this is the hanger that gets put here. We'll just drop that in there. And we might as well, now you see how this works, we might as well move the shop over as well. I believe this is the shop. And we also need this building too. 60 by 70. Where's the shop? I was just looking at it. And this, I don't know if that's the right one. Oh, we'll move it over. Yeah. Hanger light. We'll put that in later. The sign we'll put in later. Yeah, okay. So this is copy. If what I'm doing here with the folders and moving stuff around, if that isn't clear for you all, please put something in the comments section to say, hey, I'm not following with what you're doing or whatever. Often I see when people create these things, what is clear to them may not be clear to other people. And so other people may be getting lost in the process and what I'm doing. And if that is happening, please comment in the comment section. I do answer all of the comments. I respond to them myself. And so if I see it there, I will respond to it, and I will either A, reach out to you and give you more clear instruction. And if there's a overwhelming, hey, you're not being clear about what you're doing here, then I will probably make a little companion video along with this to kind of explain it in a more clear fashion. Anyways, we got our hangers in there and our shop in there. We're going to go back in here and we're going to rebuild the package. And in doing so, we're going to see 2 more assets being added in here. If I've done it right. There should be 2 more in there. Why there isn't? Maybe it's a matter of time, but CKK7. Click. Huh, that's just weird. I know I've put them in there. That's did we get an error that I didn't see? No, we didn't. Maybe change that, and then we need to come back to it. It's kind of weird that that would be the case, but let's find it in here. Oh, it's called something other than that. It's called SG something. Right. There it is, SG. Yeah, I'm unsure why those two are not coming in. You saw how I did the first one. You saw how I did this one. Did it the same way. Save. This is another airport that I've been working on. I just wanted to see, is that showing up? It is. Warning. What's this warning about? What is that warning about? Hold short is less than 200 meters. Oh yeah, I didn't have a hold short for that. I better do that now, because if I don't, I'm going to forget about it later. We'll just quickly throw a hold short in here. And we do that by clicking on that object here, taxi point, hold short, click. Wait a minute, I'm doing that unlike what I want to do. I actually want to take this point and this point, and I want to right click, and I want to split. I'm doing that wrong too. Right click, split the path. That's the point that I want. I want to change that to a hold short point. And there we go. And that got rid of that error. I don't think that's caused the issue why I can't get these other hangers in, but I will address this soon. I'm gonna spend a little bit of time, so I'm not just fixating on why stuff isn't working, and maybe I can surmise and think about why this stuff isn't working. This is 90. That's how we'll put that. So we have likely the same problem we had on the other one, and that is, well, it's not bad. See, this isn't really touching the ground, and that's because this area here is really not level. And there isn't a terraform in here to create that as being level. That's okay. Now we're back to why can I not put these other hangers in? Objects. We want scenery. Yes. I'd like the other ones to show up, and they haven't. Okay, so what we're going to do is we've got the terminal in here. We're going to take them out. This one. Terminal, hanger, yep, we're going to take them out. Notice that it's kind of locked up a little bit, and that's the SDK, I think, going through that package or that asset group and making and realizing that it's gone. So now it's gone. It doesn't exist. What we should be seeing, what we've been seeing all along, is just the two. Okay. This time, again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and I'm going to save, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to build. See, it's out of date. As things change, you will see edited and out of date and error. There's another one that you see. You don't want to see the error one, but anyways. Okay, so we're back to not having these in there. This time what I'm going to do is, instead of adding two of them, I'm just going to add this one. I I don't think this solves the problem. I do believe what we're experiencing here is an SDK issue, not as much as what we're doing and how we're doing it issue. So we got that in there. We're going to rebuild the package. No errors. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. We'll go here and we're going to save the scenery. We're going to click on that and we only have two. Why, oh why, oh why, oh why can this be? Huh? Why, oh why, oh why, oh why? Well, I don't have an answer right now. As you've seen, I have been able to add these in using the same method that I have been using. I will be doing some troubleshooting here, but we don't need to be on air to do that. Our video has gotten a little longer again. I was hopeful that I would show you how to bring material in, show you how to correct some of this, which we did, and then add the rest of the building assets in. But we're a little short of that, and that's okay. I will find out why it's not adding in. It could be just as simple as shutting the sim off and returning the sim back on with those packages in there. Maybe the SDK is being a little finicky. Maybe I just reload it all in. We'll find out. I'm going to cut it off here, and next we get into the series, we will be into episode 5. Unfortunately, I was hoping to get most of this done in episode 4, but it has gotten a little long. So there will be an episode 5, and I suspect there'll be more. I'm planning to actually create. Let me just do this here so you can actually see. So we'll kind of do a bit of a walkthrough, right? That's right. We can do a bit of a walkthrough. Now you notice that there's this nice hardwood floor in here, but there's nothing in here. And when we see that from the outside, what I want to do is I want to show you guys how to go about creating a building that will actually have furniture inside and people walking around and so forth. And yes, that is all possible. And I'm gonna take this video. Probably will begin that process into episode 5, I think. But there will be an episode 6, and my guess is there will be more than just episode 6. Likewise, my plan is to go ahead and put a parking spot in that hangar, and when this hangar is actually here, I will probably put a parking spot in there as well, so you can spawn in and sit inside the hangar. Anyways, Raymond for Stream Gamers. This production of this episode is coming to its end. Next we visit, we will have the rest of the buildings, as I said. Appreciate a like, comment, subscribe, notification bells, all of that kind of stuff. Again, like I said, make sure you comment if things aren't clear for you. Please put them in the comment section, because I'd like to know that I'm being clear about what I'm doing and that it's understandable by the masses. And even those that it isn't, even if it's not the masses, if there's that one individual person that isn't clear about this, go ahead, put me a comment down in the comment section. Not so long ago, I had a subscriber send me a message and say, you know, he's trying to create an airport following my, trying to create a hangar following my Blender tutorial, and he was just struggling with it. And so I reached out to him, and him and I spent a little bit of time on Discord, back and forth, kind of going through the process, and now he's up and running and on his way, I believe. And if you're not, please, if you're the same guy, I can't remember what your name was, but go ahead and send me another message, and I'm glad to help where I can. All right, Raymond for Stream Gamers. like, comment, subscribe, all those wonderful things. And also, as always, don't sweat the little things. The little things will look after themselves. The big things, do the things you can do. Take care of the ones you can take care of. Those ones you can't take care of, don't sweat them, because you can't do anything about them anyways. Please make sure when I say that I'm not giving a license to just eliminate your troubles. I'm just simply saying, if you can't do anything about them, you've legitimately tried to do something about them, then you can't do anything about them, then you don't need to be worried about. And most importantly, be kind. Play some games, have some fun, but be kind to your neighbors, your fellow human beings, whoever they are. You have no idea what that person is going through in that particular moment that might make them do something that you are frustrated by. There's a course online you can take. It's called the 7 Habits of Covey. I encourage anybody and everybody to look at that. It has changed my life. I'm not being sponsored by those guys. Certainly, if they want to sponsor, by all means. But it has changed my life fundamentally in how I think and what I believe and how I look at people in general. Anyways, enough of that. It's not a kind of a video. I will leave it there. You all have yourselves a wonderful day, and we will see you in episode 5. Bye-bye now.